here with Kat's Keto Crew. Don't know about you on this, what day is it? It's Wednesday. But I felt like, I don't know, we're all prepping for the big Thanksgiving holiday next week. And I just felt like the Italian girl in me was screaming for some lasagna, right? But we all know in the keto low carb world that pasta is just not our friend. But there's so many ways to make this really delicious, really easy, and in your slow cooker. So, okay. Let's start with what I have mixed up, ready to go, to be layered in there. So, first of all, this is some ricotta cheese. It was actually 2 16-ounce containers of ricotta cheese. When you're at the grocery store, make sure you're looking at the labels of your ricotta cheese. Some has more carbs, net carbs, than others, okay? So I really like the Polly-O brand, but they didn't have that today. So we went with this organic one, which is okay. And it's 2 net carbs per quarter of a cup. So put 2 of those in there with 1 egg, and I actually added some Italian seasoning in there, a little bit of garlic powder, and as well as a dash of nutmeg. All you Italians, feel me that there needs to be a dash of nutmeg in your lasagna. So also in that mix is pretty much half a bag of this Italian cheese, okay? So I'm gonna explain why in a little bit of why I add that cheese into the ricotta mix, but so that's there. Okay, this is 2 pounds of browned sausage. Okay, I used the mild variety today. You could totally use the hot, completely up to you. And then I also sauteed some mushrooms and onions and garlic together. My house smells amazing. But brown this all up. Now, for your lasagna, if you are not a mushroom fan, you don't have to add these. If you're trying to even go lower carb, you can skip the onion. Dispersed across this whole thing, this was just 1 small onion and a package of mushrooms. I'm actually gonna mix it into my meat mixture so that when I layer out within my crock pot, my slow cooker, that it all is mixed together. Plus, I don't know about you, but I've got a 10-year-old and a 12-year-old, and like when they hear the word mushroom, they're just not excited about it, but then when they're eating them, they don't know the difference. So, going to mix that all up together in there. All right. So, I think we're pretty close to assembling point. Wait till you see what I'm using for noodles today. Okay. So, crock pot right here, right? So I'm going to take this. It's not on yet. Okay. I am using Rayo's marinara sauce. Okay, this one is one of my faves. And so I am going to look at your tomato sauces in the grocery store as well. This one only has 5 net carbs per serving. So, okay, so I'm going to layer, and try not to get this all over me, which is so possible. Okay, so we're going to put a layer of that on the bottom of our crock pot. Kind of even it out. Okay, even it out. So now I'm going to put a layer of my meat. I'll show you all in just a second. So now we're just, and I advise that you start with the sauce and the meat on the bottom layer so that, you know, the crock pot, the bottom of the crock pot often gets really hot. So you just want to not have your noodles, which I'll show in a second, on the bottom because they may burn, right? Because that's the hottest part. So now we've got a layer of the meat on top of that. So here are my noodles. You're like, what? So there's noodles. Okay, I'm actually going to drain them and I'll explain what these are as we start messing with them. Okay, hold up. I'm coming back. Coming back. Just give me a second. Draining out noodles. Woo, they are so hot. Okay, so hot. So I did, the noodles that I am using today are these palmini noodles, okay? So these are palmini noodles in lasagna form. I find these at Publix. You can find these also at Walmart. You can also find these on Amazon. So all over the place, palmini hearts of palm, okay? So here's the thing. A lot of people are like, I don't know about those. I've tried them. They're a weird consistency. You've got to boil them, okay? So I boiled these guys for probably a good 10 to 15 minutes. And here's the thing. So they are in a strainer over here in the sink, but I'm also going to dry them off, okay? So I'm going to pat them dry. Like, they don't have to be totally bone dry, but who wants watery lasagna, right? Okay, so we're going to pat them dry a little bit, and then we're just going to layer them in there. So here we go. So we're just going to layer a whole layer of these sheets. So by boiling them, I did boil them in a little bit of salt as well, okay? So they do, when they come right out of the can, they suggest on the can that you can soak them in like nut milk. I find that boiling them takes away any weird flavor that they may have had. Plus, they get it the right noodle consistency, okay? So can you all see what's happening there? That is not cheese. I know that looks like cheese, but that is actually patted down palmini noodles. Okay, so still taking my palmini noodles, drying them off just a tad, and layering as we go. You can overlap them. That's not going to hurt anything, right? You're just wanting kind of a layer of, whoops, see that one break? That's called been cooking for a while, okay? So you can probably use, I cooked 2 cans just because I knew this was probably going to end up being pretty big. So, but one can would make a normal size, but we're going to eat this. I'm done cooking for the week, so this is what we're going to eat all week. Okay, so now I've got my ricotta mixture with a little bit of Italian cheese in it, the seasonings, and an egg, okay? So the only thing that's not cooked in this whole mess of stuff is, and I'm just gonna spread that around, is the 1 egg, right? Because your meat is cooked, these noodles have been cooked, ricotta cheese is fine. So basically, you're not gonna have to cook this very long because you're really just trying to warm it all up and let all the flavors come together. So you can see I'm just spreading it around. And as it gets hotter, right, as it heats up and cooks, this cheese is gonna melt as well. And so you don't have to get it all the way to the edges exactly, but just getting it an even layer around there is what you're going for. Okay, so we've got our layer of ricotta and cheese in there. My fam loves cheese. So I'm also gonna add a little bit more cheese on top of that layer. If you don't mix any Italian cheese into your ricotta, you might wanna do more cheese per layer than that, but since I have some of the Italian cheese already mixed into the ricotta, that works perfectly. Okay, so now we've got 1 layer down. So easy. So now we're gonna do our next layer. So our next layer is going to be more sauce, right? And this is probably, for me, just the way that I'm doing the layers is probably only gonna give 2 layers. You could make your layers thinner, you could use more materials, more ingredients, totally up to you, but this works perfectly for us. Okay, so now here goes the rest of my meat mixture. You can see why this is gonna feed us for the rest of the week, right? But my kids love this too. Like, they're just all about having something that's warm and comforting. We may use some 0-carb bread to make some garlic toast. Okay, so we're back there with the meat layer, and now we're gonna go back to another round. We might grab another paper towel of blotting dry our boiled palmini noodles, remember? So now I've boiled these for 20 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes, and now they're draining over here, but I'm still blotting them dry, okay? That is the only thing about the crock pot Also with the mushrooms that I sauteed earlier, yes, you could totally put raw ones in there, but here's the big but. Mushrooms are pretty watery, okay? So they are gonna make your whole thing a little bit more watery if you don't pre-saute them. If you don't have time, that's okay. Just be aware that they're going to be a little bit more watery. And that's also why I added the 1 egg into the ricotta. It will also help with the consistency slash watery aspect. So we'd love to hear if you have worked with these little palmini noodles before. I know a lot of people have tried. They also come in an angel hair and a linguine, right? And so these are often what I will use to make like spaghetti dinner too. Again, I boil mine. I really do find that that helps considerably with the consistency of them and the taste. Okay, so I do boil in a little bit. The Italian in me knows that you have to boil in a little bit of salt water, right? Always salt your water before boiling noodles, whether it be real live macaroni or palmini noodles, right? So you just want to make sure that you're, okay. So this is going to be, actually I might do 1 top layer, so I'll stop there. Okay, so there's that, right? We got another layer. So now I'm going to use the rest of the cheese mixture on top. Woo! Oh my gosh, y'all, I'm drooling. You ever make something and it just makes you drool as you're making it? Because you're like, I just know that's going to be so good. Okay, so I'm going to spread, depending on what way you laid your noodles, work with your noodles so that you don't pick them all up and stir them around. Although, I mean, come on. Like, yeah, I guess real, like, traditional noodles are going to make more of the, like, when you cut it, you have, like, a perfect little square. But, I mean, we all know that it's not about the square with lasagna. It's about how delicious all the flavors are that come together. Okay, so there's that. We're gonna go, I told you, more cheese. Okay, I'm gonna finish this bag off, but I have a secret weapon for the top. Okay, so that was 1, like, normal size bag. How many cups are in here? 2 cup bag. Handled the whole thing. Okay, so there's that. And what I'm gonna do now is I'm actually going to put another layer of noodles before I put the last bit of sauce, and I'll explain why I'm doing that. But, so I don't know if I have, this was 2 cans of noodles, right? So, and it's basically gonna use the whole 2 cans. I'm over here in my strainer so that they are losing part of their water and I'm still continually drying them off. Okay, here we go. Layering. And then, well, you're gonna see in just a second. Oh, they're all stuck together today. I guess I could have olive oiled them, but I worry about putting olive oil on these to make them not stick and then having like an oily mess in your crock pot. So I think just working efficiently is probably your better bet. Okay, we're still going. That looks like a good top layer right there to me. Okay. Whoop, come here. All right, so there's that. And we're gonna I'm gonna have to open another jar of sauce. I like mine saucy. If you don't like so much sauce, you can obviously change that up, but we are a saucy kind of bunch. Okay, so I'm gonna cover this top in sauce. Again, remember I'm using the Rayo's marinara. There are some other low carb options out there, but that Rayo's, how do you say it? Always tastes the best to me. Okay, final layer. Final layer is some mozzarella cheese slices, okay? So this is gonna give the gooiness on the top. It will also be a really good indicator of has your keto crockpot lasagna cooked long enough, right? So when these are all melty and good, you know that you're probably heated almost all the way through, right? So we're just gonna cover it with the cheese. Oh my gosh, I can't wait for dinner. It's so sad. No, it's not sad. I mean, that's one of the things that I love about this lifestyle is that you can have such delicious stuff. And like, I just don't even, I mean, when you make something like this, I don't even miss the noodles. And that's coming from, like, my father was 100% Sicilian, first generation Sicilian. So we grew up on some home cooked lasagna. But, all right, so there's that, right? It's all in there. We've got layers and layers of goodness. We're gonna put that in there. Now, we're gonna turn this on low for 3 to 4 hours, okay? So beauty of the crock pot, right? You're gonna set it and forget it. No, don't forget it. So 3 to 4 hours on low, and then I do advise that you let it sit for about an hour before you go to scooping, okay? So if you've ever made lasagna in the oven even too, letting it like cool down a little bit and congeal is always your best friend. So you can either switch it to keep warm if your crock pot slow cooker has that option, or you can literally turn it off and let it sit there for about an hour. It's not gonna get cold, okay? So if it's been cooking in here for 4 hours, it's going to still be really, really warm / hot even an hour later, but those flavors are gonna combine a little bit and start to like, I don't know, congeal? Congeal's not a good word. Solidify a little bit better. So, crockpot, keto, low carb, crockpot lasagna, all set to go.